So Pietro from Twitter just notified me that LinkedIn is releasing a redesign. It looks like their redesign is not up yet, but there is an article with some screenshots. And so I'm just going to make a quick video and go over some of the what I can see from the screenshots and some of my initial thoughts on their consistency and how they're representing the people object specifically. So in my object-oriented UX workshop, I go through a lot of existing sites and show how the thing that is being represented by modules across the site are not being represented consistently. So I'll just go over some of the points that I make about LinkedIn and then see and kind of like look at the article and look at those screenshots and see how much they are potentially fixing those things. So this right here is just some screenshots from the current site. So you can see this is my friend Victor Hugh. He is I don't know, Hugh? Yes. He is the co-founder and president of Axure. And this is how he's represented when I look him up in different ways on LinkedIn. So in the search preview, when you start typing and you get the drop-down preview, you can see his name. His last name is bolded. I don't know why. And then I can see he's a first connection and co-founder and president, and I see his picture. And then when I actually go to the search results, so if I write down Victor and I see this little preview, I get this. But if I hit enter, I go to the search results page, I see all the Victors. This is how Victor is represented. So now his first name is bolded. The first connection has a little bit of a different visual design. Even the title now is represented differently, and I get some additional information. So I also see shared connections in green here. Looks like I can probably unfold that too. I'm not sure what similar does. And then I also have this message functionality with I think like additional functionality underneath it. So this kind of like mega button over here. Now, I'm already connected to Victor, so obviously first connection. So if I go and look at him under connections, I see him represented differently again. So now I see his name is slightly different. It's still in blue. There's this title and then also where he is. So I'm not sure why I don't see that in search results, what the company is that he's worked at. The LinkedIn thing, I'm really don't know what this means. Maybe there's a tooltip on there. These are just screenshots, so I can't check right now. I guess I could go over to LinkedIn and check, but let's not worry about it right now. If I'm just looking at this, I'm not incredibly clear what this is and why does it not show on search results. The location is actually shown in a different format as well. So as you can start seeing these very small differences, these are the small differences that add up across the site. So if you've ever wondered why LinkedIn, it makes your brain hurt, this is maybe one of the major reasons why. The main object in the LinkedIn system is people, and they're represented in so many different ways. So now we get down to the Axure World group page. He's visually represented differently. Now he's in a circle. His name is represented differently, and then I see different metadata once again. And then on the Axure company page, again, he's shown differently. It is showing his relationship to the Axure company, so that might be additional metadata that makes sense. It looks like this is almost, yeah, it's exactly like search results, but has this kind of relationship here. So it's shown under connections what his relationship to this company is shown differently here. So it's shown in a different place and in a different way depending on where I am, and I don't know if that kind of like contextual design is worth the inconsistency. So one other thing that I like to show in the workshop is the different ways that Victor can be messaged. First, from search results in the Axure company page, I have the big blue message. Now, in connections, that is a hover. It actually looks something like this. So when I hover over him, I get the ability to tag, remove him from my connections, and message him. So different ways to actually take action on that person depending on where I am in the system. And then if I'm in the Axure World group page, I get this hover over here to message. So 3 different ways to just send a message to somebody depending on where I am in the system. Also, just the flyouts on in different places. So on the company page in the sidebar flyout, I get this connections icon with the 9 connections. Send a message, even like the text on the call to action is different here than what we saw previously. And then what I really want to focus on here is just if we go back and look at the actual company page, we can see just look at how shared connections is represented. Like, why not use the same color and the same freaking icon, just so I can draw, even if it's at a subconscious level, I can learn that this green means shared connections. And maybe even I use this icon, I make the icon green too. And then when I see this over here, I don't have to guess what this means. I'm guessing that this means shared connections. I really don't know. I'm guessing because it's both says the number 9 and I am connected to those people. So, but I have to kind of take that leap of faith, which I really shouldn't have to do. So there's a lot of inconsistencies throughout LinkedIn. So let's jump out of here and take a look at some of these screenshots. So see what we can kind of pull out from this this Design Week article. So let's see. So some of the first things I see just looking across the top, things like my network, jobs, messaging, and notifications. I usually like my main navigation to be my different types of objects. So my network, I would probably label that something like my connections or people even, and that would be all the people that I'm connected to. Jobs, that one makes sense. Those are things. That's going to take me to my list of things. Messaging, I would just call this messages. I mean, slight things like that to make it consistent. So I have people, jobs, messages, notifications. Messaging all of a sudden becomes a verb. So you're mixing up actions with nouns within this main navigation, which they should either be one or the other. You shouldn't be mixing them. And I usually recommend that that main navigation is going to your lists of different types of objects. So people, jobs, messages, notifications. There you go. So here we can start seeing how people are represented, and I'm really going to try to focus on that and not go down too many, not get too sidetracked here. But I can see there's me, I guess is how I'm represented. And then Helen here, we see that there's her name. She's in a circle. It looks like they're getting much more consistent about putting people in circles, and it looks like brands are in squares, which I actually really like that. It is a visual cue that these two things are different. So Helen is the managing director at Philosophy Science. So there's her title, and I guess 3 hours ago is when she posted this. I'm already a little bit confused on why the calls to action are different. Maybe I'm not following Airbnb and this is promoted, but that's not really clear. So why am I seeing this right here if I'm not already following Airbnb? I would expect that the stuff that I'm seeing here, whether it is a person or a brand, I would basically be able to take the same actions on it, like follow, unfollow, mute, whatever. So why that she has a ... and this guy has the follow button, and then why is this follow button represented differently? Like, why does it have a box around it here and not a box around it here? So it's those little consistency things, like I learned this button, I learned what it means, and now it's switched up on me, even ever so slightly. But those things add up. So I would pick a way to show follow and be consistent about it throughout the entire experience. Follow, and then, oh, there it is differently again. Follow new perspectives. I mean, it's even like not even the same fucking color. Come on. Okay. So let's look at some other screenshots. And Airbnb, I would almost want something, so this is basically the name of the thing and the description of the thing. The name of the thing and the title of the thing. Helen, and here's what she does. Airbnb, the number of followers, it's like changing up the metadata, and I guess they have a good reason for that. But like, I would expect to see Helen and her number of followers, I guess. I mean, I guess they are different things, so you would show slightly different stuff. I'm such a purist about this that I would want it to be really, really consistent to show either her number of followers or a little like blurb about Airbnb. Like, why should I be following Airbnb? Like the leader in the home sharing economy or something like that. Like what is their title? What is their pitch basically? All right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's, I guess, my profile. So, I mean, it's these little things that I look at, like, so just how it's visually represented. So here, Helen is in bold, and her title is in, like, a light gray. And then when I get to mine, it's reversed. Like why? Like it's just some visual designer saying what looks good instead of thinking like all these tiny things. I know I'm like a broken record here. It's all creating tiny little bits of cognitive dissonance. Like just make it the same. Like it can be a different size, but make all names in bold if you're going to make them in bold and put the title in that secondary style. It's going to be easier for your developers too. LinkedIn, so that's where she works. So managing director at Philosophy. Wouldn't it not say senior director at LinkedIn and then LinkedIn again? I'm not sure why this says LinkedIn again. This seems redundant here. Okay, where she went to school, where she is, and then there's her followers or her connections. So if it's connections that is important here, again, I would make that the same. Like figure out like what is the maybe the importance of the prioritization of the metadata is different for a brand than a person. Okay, fine, but as much as possible, there should be a really good reason to make those things to prioritize them differently. Okay, there's our follow button. So a message button and our connect button. Okay. All right. Experience, okay. And then here is, so, oh, this is not my profile. This is somebody else's profile, of course, because I can message them and I can see second. So even little things like that, like this, I'm now learning, now this shows my connection to this person over here. And I'm learning it shows name and then the degrees of connection. And now it's moved. So why not just put it right here next to the name? Like decide on a place and keep it there. What is the best place? And as much as possible, visually place those things and represent them in the same way. I'm like, this is probably a comp or something, but look at this. Vice President of Design, comma, Netflix. Director, Product Design for Monetization at LinkedIn, at ZenFits, at Facebook. VP and Head User Experience of Product doesn't even have it. Maybe this is just a comp that like the visual designer was not consistent, but then the visual designer is not consistent and it's not defined. Like show it the same. Is it comma and then the company, or is it at and then the company? So it looks like they're showing it differently here. Okay. There's our different follow button. And then here, like, why not show the degree connection, Ryan Holmes? Top sources to follow. I mean, that's kind of cool. I would want to see, like, how many degrees? Am I a third degree connection to Ariana Huffington? So why not show it here? Why show it here and why not show it here? There's our little messaging thing. Okay, nice. Again, so messages. I believe you can message to people that you're not connected to. So again, like why not show, if we're saying here that this is important enough to show on people you've also viewed, why is it not important to show when I'm messaging somebody? When I'm messaging somebody, that's even like almost more important to show. If I'm messaging somebody, like I want to remember, is this somebody, this is a colleague of a colleague, or are we directly connected? Okay, and then messaging feature. Okay, so All right, so it seems to be a small improvement in some of the UI, but obviously they weren't thinking in an object-oriented way. They weren't thinking about what their main object is people and consistently representing them across the application so that people can immediately recognize that object and then they learn how to use it and it works the same no matter where it's represented in the system. So I'm excited for them to launch this and to really, I'll definitely do another video and pick it apart even more when they get the live version out there.